This exercise we call hip 90-90 right apical expansion. It comes from the PRI world, the Postural Restoration Institute, really looking at trying to deal with that right stance imbalance that we see also often in that kind of tucked in right rib cage with the left flare that makes the right shoulder look low. So what we're going to do here is we're going to try to open up and expand this right side. Now, I'll tell you that I've taught this and coached this in person many times, and for some people it's just really hard to feel and get. If you're struggling with it early on, don't worry about it. Use your hip 90-90 stretches, and then just use an arm over child's pose or a lat stretch on the wall. It's going to be very similar. I do like this because it's kind of like the pretzel stretch. It allows me to open up the rib cage, be strong through the shoulder, create rotation, and also work on my hip position at the same time. So I like the combo nature of this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up as close as I can to a true seated 90-90. So again, right leg in front is bent to 90 degrees, left leg behind me bent to 90-90. I already have a pretty good stretch on the front of this left thigh. I want to anchor this left pelvis so that it gives me the chance to rotate around it. So I'm going to go ahead and dig that knee and squeeze with my adductors just a bit so that that left side stays anchored. If this is uncomfortable, it's too much of a stretch, or it just hurts the knee, take a cushion of some type. I just have a yoga mat here. Place it under the knee, maybe a little bit of the thigh, and now that gives me, right, it cheats my range of motion just enough, but it lets me kind of get that in a position where I can actually squeeze, right? So I can get a little more active through that adductor now with that pad there. So we're going to lock that in place. We're squeezing down, we're anchored in. Now the tendency is from here, I lock this in place, but then I get sloppy in this shoulder. So I'm going to take this shoulder and I'm going to press down through the floor, try to be nice and tall, try to get my head in a straight line. And then once I'm nice and tall, I'm locked in here. I can squeeze my right knee into the floor, and then I'm just going to try to push, through this ab wall and create a little bit of a stretch through that right side. And I can even create a little rounding by reaching through the mid-back. So I'm kind of creating a little bit of a cat stretch, right side glide, push back. Trying to get that stretch right between the shoulder blades, and then a little bit in this right side wall. And yes, I know there's a lot going on. Okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. Lock the hip in, lock the pelvis in, strong right arm, stretch and round through the mid-back, take a few nice deep breaths, and just kind of let your body get used to being in that 90-90 position, little rib bias up high. Okay, give it a try. I think if you do it a few times, you'll start to appreciate some of the dynamics of it and kind of how you can create stretch.